In this lecture, we are going to study about Iravati Karve, her contributions in the caste and kinship studies of India. A little introduction. She was born in 1905 and she was a feminist poet, writer. She used to write in Marathi. She is the founder of the anthropology department at the University of Pune. At that time, when there were really very few Indian female sociologists or anthropologists, Iravati Karve's contribution to sociology towards caste and kinship studies, studies of villages is very important. And we are going to discuss what she said about kinship system at large. Here I have put on a list of some of her contributions and books. Some of them are Kinship Organization in India, Group Relations in Village Community, Yuganta, The End of an Epoch. This book, which was based on the characters of Mahabharata, it gave a new dimension to the studies, to the characters, to the interpretation of Mahabharata, and it won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1968. So just take a look at the books list. Now we are going to study what she mainly focused on, what approach that she used, and we are going to move ahead with that. So the important point to note here is she was inspired by Ghurye. So when we know that she was inspired by Ghurye, that means she took some inspiration from ancient Sanskrit texts perhaps to enhance her knowledge and to produce some results on the basis of that. So points that she studied were kinship in terms of Indian languages. She tried to study the role of Indian languages in establishing kinship system, behavior and attitudes that change with the context of language. For example, if one language is spoken in an area A and another language is spoken in the area B, so what is the kind of behavior and attitude change that the language has brought with itself, which makes this difference between the two regions, their attitudes and their behaviors? Marriage and family patterns. She studied mainly about the joint family in India. She did a comparative study on Sanskritic North and Dravidian South. She did this comparative study to know what really is the difference when we talk about the lineage that is coming from Sanskritic North and the Dravidian South. Move ahead. In her study of kinship, she adopted the social cultural study of India. In her book, The Kinship Organization in India, which was published in 1953, she studied the family structure in India and she divided the country into four cultural zones according to the marriage practices. So there are four cultural zones according to Iravati Karve, and she divided them on the basis of the types of marriage, the kind of marriage practices. Now we know that there are various kinds of marriage practices where some people and some kins or some caste systems, some regions, they entertain exogamy, some entertain endogamy, and so on and so forth. So the four zones were northern, central, southern and eastern. She also said that kinship in India can be seen in the families and outside families as well. So it is not that kinship is related or is confined only within the families but outside the families as well. As she studied the caste system in villages, so it was more evident that kinship extended outside the families as well. On the other hand, if we see today kind of society that we live in, it is not very true in the society today, because we are living in a life, we are so busy within ourselves, we hardly know our neighbor's name. So it is kind of impossible to establish or to find kins outside the families. If we get the time to be with our own family, that is also a wonder in today's age. Now here's a list of the regions and the languages according to the zones that she talked about. Please take a look at that and When we analyze this list, we get to know that some areas are related to Sanskrit language, some are related to Dravidian context. In some regions, there is matrilocal systems, whereas in some other, there are patrilocal systems, where there is the patriarchy, and matrilocal, where mothers are given more importance, where they are superior. Some regions allow cross cousin marriage, some regions do not allow cross cousin marriage. So these are some of the points that you have to take into consideration. Please go through this. So basically, she has talked about three concepts or patterns, that is, linguistic region, institution of caste, and family organization. So these concepts hold importance because it helps in understanding the cultural phenomena with context to the Indian society and to understand the social fabric of India. When we talk about Indian sociology at large, we know that these concepts hold a lot of importance because linguistic region, the change in linguistic regions, the change in languages, it helps us identify the types of behavior change in the society. The institution of caste is very important when we need to talk about stratification in the society per se, and the role of family organization, that is important for the people living in the society, for the people living in the family, and it affects the whole system, the whole institution at large as well. So kinship organization exhibits linguistic patterns, but deviations are also present. This is what she analyzed. So, what were these deviations? So, she studied this in Maharashtra, where the language is Sanskrit. Okay, so the language is derived from Sanskrit, but the kinship organization was based on Dravidian or South Indian regions. So the system like cross cousin marriage. So this is not of Sanskritic lineage, but it is more of a Dravidian lineage, Dravidian influence. So she said that there are some deviations present, and that is what we need to study. Her next study was with Damle in 1963, where she studied group relations in village community, where the people in the village, they were interdependent and they were related to each other on the basis of kinship, caste, and locality. So they were dependent on each other for the kind of works, kind of occupations. Economic interdependence was there, they were tied with social relationships. And one important point, because of the caste system, because of the different traditions, rituals, rules that are present in the caste, all of these are transferred from one generation to the other, and these values, they become values when they get transferred, and this is how they are related to each other. So they did this methodological experiment to study the group relations in a village community, and they did the qualitative and quantitative study both and gathered data on the basis of that. And they came up with this interdependency that is there within the village. So, according to her, caste is a hereditary phenomena. Caste is also hereditary in nature, and endogamy is really practiced in the societies. There is restriction to linguistic region. Caste is also an extended kin group. This is an important sentence that she said. And caste members, they share these particular occupations which are also hereditary in nature, because say a barber's son becoming a barber, these kind of relations, and they are hereditary in nature. Stratification in a geographical area is due to the different ranks that are present in the caste system or in a social order. So each society, they themselves decide on what kind of ranks one should be given, and on the basis of that, stratification is present in that society. One of our major studies is about the joint family system, how the family functions and how it contributes to the wider social structure. Because the role of joint family is not only confined to that family, but it extends. Now we know that Indian economy is mostly based on, the majority is agrarian occupation, okay? Most of the people are engaged in farming or agriculture activities. So joint family, this concept was made in harmony of such an economy that existed in India. So, if there are 10 people living in a joint family and all of them are working together, they are producing the food together, grains together, they are farming together. So, this kind of social structure, this kind of family structure is suitable for our economy. Some of the features of joint family system, as you know, are there is a joint residence. All of them, all the people, all the members of the family, they live together. There's a single kitchen. Joint properties are there so that there is no tiff or there is no conflict between the people. Single head with rights. The oldest member of the family is the head of the family and he has the rights with him. He decides what has to happen. And in this way, members are bound together. They are supposed to be together. Now, she said that this can be an autonomous unit with its own rules and traditions. Now, it is very well said that each family has its own rule of, set of rules and set of regulations. So, joint family can be an autonomous unit. It is also an economic unit which works on its own. How is it an economic unit? When we talk about agrarian based relations, agrarian based economy, we know that most of the income would be coming from the produce from what the farmers have grown. So it helps as an economic unit when all the people are working together in the family to grow, to cultivate, to farm together. It works as an economic unit. Another important study that she did was dynamics of group relations in village. The book is Group Relations in Village Community, published in 1963, where she said that social life is governed through joint families. Since joint families are autonomous units, they have this power, they have this authority to govern the social life as well. Social stratification is also present in villages. So, social stratification is not a phenomena that is present only in the modern or the urban societies. It is also there in the villages where the scheduled caste they are not provided with enough access or opportunities, and therefore their role in economy is very less. They do not have a significant role, and at that time of time period at that period it was really difficult to uplift their status as well because of the various stigmas that were there in the society. But if we look at today's condition, when we did the chapter by when we studied about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we know that today the conditions have changed because the backward classes they have been provided with political rights and knowledge, awareness, education, and many other things to make a mark to grab opportunities in the society. Now, when she did her study in the Satara area of Maharashtra, she said that the economic change that was there in the society that was needed to be studied. So when does this economic change happen? What happens is when a village is only based on agriculture, the economy and the situation in the village is entirely different. But when it comes in contact with cities or urban areas, the whole economy, the whole situation, it changes. So there is a need to interact, the interaction between the villages and the cities, so that the villages evolve, so that they explore new areas of occupation, they grab opportunities that come their way, they migrate, they get educated, and so on and so forth. So this dynamic change occurs between who the members who come in contact with the urban areas, who come in a relationship with the urban areas, and the ones who do not. So this is broadly what Iravati Karve's important contributions were. According to Net's perspective, this is all. We are just going to wind up this session by discussing two questions. Question number one is, according to Iravati Karve, which one of the following linguistic regions come under the central kinship zone? Now, I have already given you a list of the the regions and the languages spoken in various kinship zones. So the answer will be A, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Orissa. We can know this because the languages spoken are Rajasthani, Gujarati, Kathiawadi, Oriya, and Marathi. Question number two is basically a list that you have to match with the books and authors. Now we know that Iravati Karve wrote Kinship Organization and India, and with this we can know that the right answer is B. Important point here to notice is there is another book, that is Kinship and Marriage. Do not confuse it with Iravati Karve's work. It is given by Robin Fox.